Vice President of the Sisterhood. Happy to welcome you to the 9th Women's Seder led by Julie Weill. I would like to welcome you and welcome the people on Zoom. I'm also sending you regards from other Sisterhood members who are in an amazing trip in Israel with Rabbi Weill. I would like to thank Julie for creating, writing, and presenting her Women's Seder. Let me tell you about upcoming programs as well. April 19 is a dramatic presentation by a local actress, Megan Wells. She's playing the role of the woman who hid during the Holocaust the family of Otto Frank. This event will help us commemorate Yom HaShoah. There also will be a lunch on April 19. And more events like book review on May 3rd about the book The Matchmaker Gift. We are also looking forward to Yom Ha'atzmaut, the 75th birthday of Israel, and also to Sisterhood Shabbat. Okay. Let's start and enjoy the program. Julie.
Thank you, Esther. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Sisterhood's Women's Seder. It is wonderful to be together, and I would just first like to start out and take the opportunity to thank Diane Rosenfeld, our Sisterhood President, and Judy Arkin, our Programming Vice President, for inviting me to lead another Women's Seder this year, and to Esther Javits for holding down the Sisterhood fort in their absence, and to Evie Lowenthal, who did the same. And an additional thank you to Debbie Rich for creating our flyer and being in touch with everyone about their attendance, and to Jeanette Sigler and Lee Levin and Ron for the room setup, and to Larry Sklar in the back, our fantastic tech guru who did all of our tech setup and will be making sure that the 30-plus women online tonight will have a positive and easy experience. So thank you so much, Larry. And I'm also appreciative of Tamara Glassberg and Miriam Davidson and Rena Rosen for leading our music this evening. You may have learned over the years that singing is not really a talent of mine, so I know that we will all benefit from their leadership. And to Debbie Dragon and Rena Rosen for taking a leap of faith and agreeing to share a personal reflection on tonight's theme, which you will all hear during the Seder. And Rabbi Brief, if you are on Zoom, I just would like to thank you for being here tonight, for supporting our sisterhood, and for always supporting me. And I'll give a shout out to the women in Israel as well. It is possible that one or two may actually be watching in the middle of the night there, but I know they're having a great trip, and hopefully they can watch the recording when they return. So leading this Women's Seder is truly an honor and one of my favorite nights of the year. Women's Seders are a unique kind of space for questioning, recovering, creating, healing, and discovering. In this space, I hope we develop our own authentic relationship to the texts, ideas, and traditions of the holiday, and to one another. For me, the story of the Exodus is the very beginning of the question, to whom and what do we belong? It's the beginning of our sense of our peoplehood. Up to this point in the story, we certainly had individuals establishing their relationship to God. Abraham and Sarah, Isaac and Rebekah, Jacob, Rachel and Leah, Joseph. But it is the experience of our people's suffering as slaves together in Egypt, and then being redeemed by God, that is truly a root experience, one that the Israelites collectively encountered, one that created our peoplehood and shared identity, and one that is meant to continue to generate our sense of belonging to one another and to God, Lador Vador. No one inherently understood better how deeply we belong to one another and to God than the women of the Exodus, whose stories we will recall again tonight. The power of belonging to their own conscience, to their family, to humanity, to God, and to the future led them to act. As modern Jewish women today, we are raised to be part of so many groups, our families, our friends, our work, our communities, those who struggle in the broader world around us. In fact, it is as if belonging is our life force that enriches us and calls upon us. Thus, tonight, we will search for the answers to the question, to whom and what do we belong? What are the benefits and sometimes burdens of such belonging? And what does it inspire us to achieve? What is the power of belonging? So I will remind you of something I've said every year that's true this year as well. This is not your father's Seder. A women's Seder is by nature a creative endeavor. Since each of you will soon attend Seders that will incorporate every traditional element of the order of the Seder, I felt that I could create an experience that was a little different. I appreciate that leading the Seder provides for me an opportunity for my own spiritual growth. And I also love the sense of community that I feel in a room filled with talented women, each with their own story. And I feel this space is a unique opportunity in synagogue life for us to share ourselves with each other. It feels special. So now a word about this Haggadah. You will see 4 roles. Leader, that's me, and in some cases, a few special leaders who I've called upon for certain sections. When you see reader, we are actually going to go around the chapel with our wireless mic and take turns reading one after another. And we'll pass the microphone as we go. And if you do not want to read, feel free to pass the microphone on to the person next to you. When you see all, that means we say the words together. And when you see all sing, that means we all sing. So please join me. So let us begin by opening up our Haggadah on page 3, where it says welcome and greeting each other. Okay. Let us begin by greeting one another. If you are here in person, the person next to you will be your partner tonight. If you are here on Zoom, there will be a few times this evening that you will be put into a breakout room with another woman on Zoom for a few minutes for one-on-one discussion. You may know this woman well, or you may not. And even if you know her well, I hope that by the end of the evening, you may know her in a slightly different or deeper way. As in every Seder tonight, we will ask 4 questions. But on this night, our 4 questions will be asked differently than on all other Seders. Ma nishtana halayla hazeh. Our 4 questions will be interspersed throughout the Seder, and we'll ask them in pairs. So at 4 different points of the evening, I'm going to ask you to share your thoughts with each other. And those who are in person will share with the person next to you, and those on Zoom will be put into the breakout room with another woman. You will automatically be put into your breakout room, and you will automatically be returned. So you do not have to do anything for those of you on Zoom. It will just happen automatically for you. Thanks to Larry. So I would like you to turn to the person next to you and introduce yourself by saying your name. And I'm going to ask you a question to share with each other. And I'm going to actually answer the question myself first before you begin. So the question I want you to share is, share an example of when you felt you belonged to something. For example, belonging in your family, or an organization, or in your work, or when you belonged to yourself, did something for yourself. How did belonging make you feel? And I'll answer first as to just give you an example. And in fact, the example that I'm going to share is actually what gave me the idea for the theme of the Seder tonight. As I think you all probably know, my father passed away a little more than a year ago. After his funeral, I began to participate in our synagogue's nightly minyan to say Kaddish for my father. And I did so for 11 months. And the experience of being a part of that minyan really impacted me. Personally, I just felt there were several other women in the minyan who also had lost parents. And I really felt seen and understood and sort of acknowledged without really even saying a word to each other. We just were all there and we understood the experience that we were all having. Every death is different and everybody's grief is different, but in general, we understood what we were each going through. So I personally felt a deep sense of belonging. And I also felt it was very powerful to really be doing something that was part of my tradition. And it really did ground me to the fact that I am a Jew. And this is how Jews mourn. And I just felt very deeply connected to my own Jewish identity. So that's an example of the kind of story, if you can think of something, obviously not necessarily about grief, but something personal that you can share with each other, you're comfortable doing so. We will have 6 minutes. So keep in mind, there are 2 of you. You each have about 3 minutes. You don't want to talk too much. You don't want to talk too little. You want to talk just right. And I will let you know when the time is up. So again, share an example of when you felt you belonged to something. How did belonging make you feel? Hope you enjoyed that experience. And I would like to now call upon Rosalie Persky, who is going to light our candles. I'm getting a 1 second wait from Larry. Thank you for coordinating. Okay, good.
Recording.
Okay, so at least we can plug this in. Oh, wait.
Oh, well.
Are you okay like using the actual?
Yeah, so I lit my stove in the oven days. I don't cover my eyes when I light the candles.
Whatever you want to do. Do you want to speak first and then do that?
We begin our learning by lighting the way for ourselves and one another. Let the candles we now light be a reflection of the light that shines within each of us. And may that light illuminate our hearts and radiate beyond this room to our families, friends, and community. May the light of the candles we kindle together tonight cast their glow on the earth and bring the radiance of the infinite to all who still live in darkness. We praise the light that causes our faces to shine for one another, shattering our isolation, connecting us to one another and to the holy spark within us. Baruch, together we say.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel yom tov.
You are blessed, our God, Spirit of the world, who makes us holy with mitzvah, who commands us to kindle the light of the festival day.
Thank you.
I'm afraid.
Thank you, Rosalie. Tonight is a special night as we join together as women seeking to make our Pesach holy. We come to tell, we come to hear, we come to teach, we come to learn, we come to grow. We come to say thank you to God for our many blessings, for keeping us in life, for sustaining us, and for enabling us to reach this moment. Please join me in the two blessings below, the Shehechianu prayer, and a prayer acknowledging our gratitude for being together for this Women's Seder. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechianu v'kiyimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. You are blessed, our God, Spirit of the world, who keeps us in life, who sustains us, and who enables us to reach this season. Ma tovu sidrenu benot Yisrael ke'or hadash hameir olam. Women of Israel, the wonder of our Seders brings new light to the world. Okay, so I'm going to turn on our wireless microphone and begin passing it around. And Tamara, I think we will start with you.
Traditionally, during the Seder, we drink 4 cups of wine linked to God's 4 promises to the Israelites, promises of deliverance and redemption. As it is written, I will bring you out from under the burdens of Egypt. I will deliver you from bondage. I will redeem you with an outstretched arm and great judgments. I will take you to be my people, and I will be your God.
Tonight, because this is a Women's Seder and we have the freedom to take creative liberties, we will raise our glass just once as we remind ourselves who we are, all that we have experienced, and all the ways in which our belonging to one another and to God blesses our lives. Rena, if you'll read that poem, and then we'll say our prayer together.
That we find our spring selves again, that we shed the thick protective layers of winter that shield but separate us from the world out there. At the Seder table we sit refreshed, tired, yes, from all the work of preparation, but in spirit refreshed. We sit at the Seder table and encounter our younger selves, wide-eyed, asking questions. We become each year once again the four sons. We become childlike, spring-like, ready each year once again to go out from Egypt with nothing but a pack on our back, ready to walk once again out into the wilderness in search of our freedom and our God.
Join me in the blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. You are blessed, our God, Spirit of the world, who creates the fruits of the vine.
Traditionally, the telling of the story of the Exodus in the Haggadah begins with the line, "My father was a wandering airman." It goes on to tell the story of how the Israelites landed in Egypt and how God delivered us from slavery to freedom. Tonight, we will tell the story differently. We will widen the circle of memory and history. We will tell of the women.
The opening story of the book of Exodus provides us with a stunning collection of women whose strength propels them to resist and defy. They are women who are celebrated in feminist Haggadahs for the role they played in freeing the Israelites from slavery. They are clever and courageous women, Shifra, Puach, Yocheved, Miriam, and Pharaoh's daughter. As we recall the brave actions of each of these women, we may ask ourselves what motivated them to act. To what or whom did they feel they belonged?
We imagine they sit in a circle on a rug laid down on the sand. Two women, midwives, squat on the ground, leaning protectively on their birthing stools, prized possessions. A mother rests cross-legged with her daughter beside her, absently playing with the rug's frayed edge. Another holds a baby at her breast.
Our names are Shifra and Pua. We are midwives. We greet new life as it arrives in the world with its bold cry. Despite the orders of our mighty ruler, we cannot ignore our calling and drown a newborn's first breath in the rushing waters of the Nile. While others quaked in fear of Pharaoh, we were struck with the awe of God. God gave us strength, and God brought many strong babies into our hands.
It is for the midwives' act of remembering God as a power above Pharaoh that the children of Israel are made strong. As it is written, therefore God dealt well with the midwives, and the people multiplied and grew very mighty. Thus, Shifra and Pua bring God into this story and create the conditions for Israel's survival. In remembering God, they help God remember Israel.
Okay, I am Yocheved, mother of Miriam, Aaron, and Moses. Every day for 3 months, I stifled my baby's cries, marveling at his strong lungs and sturdy little body that relaxed against me when I held him. When he grew too big, I built for him a teva that could cradle him, save him, even in the waters of the Nile. I prayed that this ark would save him, as Noah's ark ensured a future for humanity.
Yocheved's sense of history is revealed through the teva she builds. Just as God commanded Noah to build a teva, Yocheved's teva is another vehicle of salvation in waters of destruction and reflects her keen memory and faith in God's role in history.
I am Miriam. As a young girl, I stationed myself behind the bushes by the Nile, so I could see what might befall my brother. When I saw him rescued, it was I who offered to bring him back to my mother's breast, and in that way I kept our family together. My love for my brother gave me the strength to be bold.
You may not know me or want to include me in your family, but I, Pharaoh's daughter, am a mother of your people. When I heard the baby squalling among the reeds, I knew immediately that it must be a Hebrew baby, and I knew just as quickly that I could not let him die. I drew him from the water and sent him home with the girl who peered at me from among the reeds. My belief in the goodness of this child and all of humanity gave me the strength to act.
In a time of hatred and strife, the daughter of Pharaoh upholds the most basic values of common humanity and respect for life. Her role in saving Moses makes the redemption of the children of Israel possible.
This year, let us explore this story anew by asking two seemingly simple questions. Why did these women do what they did? To whom did these women feel that they belonged? Not to their ruler Pharaoh or to their country, but to their family, to their conscience and sense of self, to humanity, to God.
This is a remarkable conspiracy among women. The midwives, a slave mother, her daughter, and a princess together cross boundaries of age, race, and class to save the life of a baby, all because of the clarity of knowing to whom and what they belong, all because of the power of that belonging. And in these acts begins our redemption.
How does the journey across the sea to freedom begin? Once and then again, in small, scattered, heroic acts and moments of strength and vision, until the humming rises and disparate voices come together into the cry of the people.
How does the journey across the sea to freedom begin? Through a collective cry, the collective cry of the midwives, a slave mother, a brave daughter, a princess.
How does the journey across the sea to freedom begin? The collective cry broadens further. All of Israel cries out against the pain of slavery and suffering. The cry of the people rises up to God, and God hears.
How does the journey across the sea to freedom, to a better life for you, your family, your community, and all of humanity begin? Through compassion for the suffering of others, through a vision of what could be improved, through belief in oneself, through the coming together of many, through strategizing, action, faith, hard work, and persistence. This is our heritage. This is our work in every generation, for we belong to one another. This will be our legacy. Tonight, I have asked two women from our congregation to share with us a way in which the power of belonging impacts their lives. And Rena Rosen will be our first speaker.
Hi, everybody. I need my glasses. So most people who know me, they know how much I like to talk about the building. It's one of the best parts of growing up with my aunts, uncles, and cousins all in one building. We were and still are a very close-knit family. Not only my immediate family, but all the others in the building. It was a 3-flat where I lived on the 3rd floor with my mom, dad, and my 3 brothers. My mom was the youngest of the sisters, so of course we were on the 3rd floor, and we had to walk up 3 flights with groceries, laundry from the basement, and past the 2 stories below each day. If I ever came home past curfew, not only did I hear it from my mom, but I had to pass my aunts who would peek their head out as well, and you can imagine what they say to me at 2 or 3 in the morning. I was one of the youngest cousins who would venture downstairs to see what was in their refrigerator or see just what was going on, or to see what they were having for dinner, or even sit with my cousins and their boyfriends, sometimes even between them. They just loved that. If my mom wanted to tell her sisters anything, they would ring the phone one time and go to the door and speak through the hallway. I always thought this was just what people do. When it was a holiday, such as Thanksgiving, which is also my birthday, my mom would host, and being the balabusta that she would cook up a storm and set a beautiful table for the whole mishpacha. Then my family would come in the door with their coats and pretend like they schlepped and parked far away. There was always something fun or some activity going on in the building. It was like a little kibbutz in West Rogers Park. It was a wonderful way to grow up, and for me, it was a real sense of belonging. Our family belonged to Nir Tamid, which some of you may have belonged there, right? A conservative synagogue in West Rogers Park, where many members had also belonged, who belong here. My parents were weekly shul goers, and as they got older, and when my father was eventually in a nursing home and could no longer attend, I drove from Skokie, where I lived at the time, to pick up my mom from Gidwitz in Deerfield, bring her back here, and drove her back to Skokie. Yeah, I brought her here, sorry. Since they were people she knew from Nir Tamid, she immediately felt comfortable and a sense of belonging. I, on the other hand, would roll my eyes, and I thought, oh boy, I can't wait to get out of here. Sorry, no offense. But however, now I belong to this synagogue, and this is where I've made my friends, and I really feel myself a sense of belonging. I've made wonderful connections. I've taught Hebrew school. I sing in Kolenu, and of course, I'm in the lovely Purim spiel. This has become a place that gives me another sense of belonging, which is crucial to our life satisfaction, happiness, mental and physical health, and even longevity. It gives us a sense of purpose and meaning. And without a sense of belonging, it's easy to feel lost and alone. I believe that belonging refers to feeling included, whether it be within a family, with friends, being understood, having fun together, and wanting to spend time together and just being paid attention to. When we feel we have support and belonging, we are not alone, and we're more resilient and often cope more effectively with difficult times in our lives, which we all have at times. So here's to belonging, and especially belonging to this synagogue, EHNTJC, which has brought all of us here tonight.
Thank you so much, Rena. That was beautiful. Appreciate it. So I would like to ask you now again to turn to your neighbor or your Zoom friend and take another few minutes to answer the second of our 4 questions. This one's a little different. Maybe you spoke about this already, but hopefully not. Share an experience you have had belonging or not belonging as a woman. How did you feel about that experience? Got it? An experience of belonging or not belonging as a woman. How did you feel about that experience? And again, you have about 5 to 6 minutes. Haggadah. I lost track of the wireless, but I think it might be, oh, okay, great, Marcy. Marcy, page 11, you get a poem.
The poem?
God,
Okay.
I've forgotten how to breathe. The air here is tight around me. Each day presses in. I long to feel wide love, to feel harder beneath my cracked feet, shade on my bent back, cool mist on my sun-scorched skin. I long to hear sweet words for respite from the sting that forces me into this pit and keeps me here. Day after day, God, though my voice is barely a broken whisper, I am calling out and remembering you. Please remember me. Remember my family and our ancestors. Bring us home to you. Turn us back towards your embrace and fold us in. We have been lost so long, and now we are ready. Find us, remember us. At night, we sing a secret song of breath and cooling shadows. By day, we squint our eyes and hope that when we open them, you will be there, a hand on our brow, a breath of wind at our backs. We sing to you. Please hear our song. Please come and bring us home.
Thank you, Marcy. And I'm now going to call up my trio. You all have the words to the song, The Journey Song by Debbie Friedman.
Yeah, we're all singing it together. Here,
Where's good for you?
here, let's put it in. This is good.
Oh, this is nice. Now we have hands free. You're so tall.
Where does the journey begin? Where will we go? Hours pass, the answers might change as we keep moving along. Stand at the shores of the sea, fearful we want to turn back. The sea parts, our eyes fill with wonder as we go along on our journey. Where does the journey begin? Where will we go? Hours pass, the answers might change as we keep moving along. Stepping into the unknown, the echo of Miriam's song. We awaken, retelling our stories as we go along on our journey. Where does the journey begin? Where will we go? Hours pass, the answers might change as we keep moving along. Cross the sea, it's the time to sing a song. We are free. Dance with your timbrels in hand. There's no turning back from this journey. Where does the journey begin? Where will we go? Hours pass, the answers might change as we keep moving along. Days pass, the answers might change as we keep moving along. Years pass, the answers have changed as we keep moving along.
Thank you so much. We are on page 14. And our microphone is with Adrian.
Traditionally, the carpets dipped in salt water remind us of both the sweat and tears of our ancestors in Egypt, and of the possibility of new growth and renewal that the Israelites attained through freedom.
The tremor in the seed. Long before the struggle upward begins, there is tremor in the seed. Self-protection cracks. Roots reach down and grab hold. The seed swells, and tender shoots push up toward light. This is karpas, spring awakening growth. A force so tough it can break stone. And why do we dip karpas into salt water? To remember the sweat and tears of our ancestors in bondage. To taste the bitter tears of our earth, unable to fully renew itself this spring because of waste, neglect, and greed. To feel the sting of society's refusal to celebrate the blossoming of women's bodies and the full range of our capacity for love. And why should salt water be touched by karpas? To remind us that tears stop, spring comes, and with it, the potential for change.
In that spirit, let us say the blessing over the karpas as I'll ceremoniously dip our karpas into our salt water. So join me in the blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri ha'adamah. You are blessed, our God, Spirit of the world, who creates the fruit of the earth. Go ahead.
The traditional reading when we break the middle matzah is perplexing. This is the bread of affliction that our ancestors ate in the land of Egypt. Let all who are hungry come and eat. Let all who are in want share the hope of Passover. This year we celebrate here. Next year in the land of Israel. Now we are still slaves. Next year, may we all be free.
At first, it seems as though we are remembering the affliction of our ancestors in the land of Egypt. Thank you. Yeah, you're going to help me today. And acknowledging our blessing is now free people. And we are
charitably inviting
those who are in need, those who are hungry for food or for freedom to join us. But then the passage continues on and explains that we are slaves and we are not yet free. How is it possible that we celebrate our freedom and yet we are still not free? Who is the we in now we are slave? Next year may we all be free. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Perhaps Ha'alat Ma'anya is meant to teach us something about belonging. Perhaps our redemption is bound up with the deliverance from bondage of people everywhere. If we are bound to all of humanity, and some of us are not yet free, then none of us can truly be free, because we are truly one. May this bread of affliction remind us that we must work toward a time when redemption belongs to everyone.
Amen. I would now like to ask you to turn to your neighbor once again for our third of 4 questions. This one a little bit different. Share an experience you have had about belonging or not belonging as a Jew. How did you feel about the experience? Belonging or not belonging as a Jew? And I will start out, we will continue to pass our microphone. So we're at the top of page 16.
Okay.
Let us now return to consider Miriam as a woman, as she crosses the Sea of Reeds. The crossing was not only the crossing out of Egypt and out of slavery, but also the entrance into an unknown future, made possible by a moment of extraordinary faith.
Miriam had the foresight to bring her hand drum. This was the moment to lift up the hand drum and triumphantly sing and dance, giddy with gratitude for God's redemption. Miriam had the wisdom to gather her sisters to acknowledge and affirm the miracle, to mark the moment when their tenuous hope broke forth in joy, the birth of their community as a people touched by God.
A midrash teaches us that a miraculous well then accompanied the Hebrews through the journey in the desert, providing them with water. This well was given to God by Miriam, our prophetess, to honor her bravery and devotion to the Jewish people. Both Miriam and her well were spiritual oases in the desert, sources of sustenance and healing.
Miriam's well was said to hold divine power to heal and renew. Its fresh water sustained our people as we were transformed from a people shaped by slavery into a free nation. Throughout our subsequent journeys, we have sought to rediscover these living waters.
At Miriam's sea crossing, emerging from the waters, she does not wait for someone else to change the world. She does not demur that she was not bred for greatness. She does not blend into the crowd. Instead, Miriam's voice rings out for all to hear.
In our time, the sea crossing may be when we hear a cry for social justice or witness a scene in which we are seized with understanding about our place in the world. It may be a moment when we are called to protect civil rights, speak up and out against violence, advocate for the education of our nation's children, welcome the stranger. As we enter these waters, if we look around and trust our vision, we may discover that we, like Miriam, are bathed in and buoyed by the presence of God and by the community of women who belong to each other and who work together. May Miriam inspire us to march across the seas we face, and may her water well continue to sustain us and give us strength for the hard work ahead. Amen. I'd now like to call up Deb Dragon to share her personal reflection. Thanks.
It wasn't until my second infant daughter died that I thought I would go crazy. I just couldn't comprehend the odds of losing a second child after the doctors assured me the corrective surgery went well, and then I delivered a stillborn. As an independent, rational person, nothing made sense. I felt utterly alone. I knew I needed a new way to navigate this world. But first, I needed to lose weight. If I looked good, I would surely feel good. A friend recommended a program that could help. I walked into that first meeting of 30 people and heard the word God a lot. Needing to give up white sugar, white flour, and all of my favorite foods. I didn't know what was happening or if I could return. But yet, I did return, 3 to 4 times a week. We all shared our stories. I learned the reason I wasn't connecting or having feelings of belonging ran deeper than a unique experience in childbirth. I had an addictive personality who self-soothed with food, specifically sugar. I learned tools in this program to use when feeling alienated and separate. The biggest and hardest tool was to reach out to others and connect. And why do I share this with you? Because through the 12-step program, I discovered a Jewish 12-step program for addicts in recovery. And with weekend retreats and weekly learning, I was able to become more spiritual and learned what Judaism had to offer. It was akin to being in the desert like our ancestors. And lo and behold, I discovered that most of the 12 steps are taken from our sages. The notion of taking a personal inventory, davening the Amida, giving back to the community through service, and praying to a higher power. I attended weekly Parsha classes, Torah classes in women's homes throughout Skokie, and found another group of like-minded women.
One favorite rabbi of this group, Rabbi Karsh, told us about a program at the Doubletree in Skokie in the spring of 2019. Aviva Zornberg was the speaker. And after the program, I went over to Rabbi Karsh to say hello. And who was he engaged in conversation with? But Rabbi Jeffrey Weill, who I had never met. These two rabbis studied together as well. This full circle wasn't lost on me. Our shul, Kehilat Shalom, had just entered into a contract with Rabbi Weill's shul for the following month. So you see, my journey from the abyss of grief and despair 30 years ago has led me to all of you this evening. Let us continue our journey and support each other.
Thank you so much, Deb, for sharing a brave part of yourself. Okay, we are on page 18, the 10 plagues. To persuade Pharaoh to let the Hebrew slaves go free, God brought 10 plagues on the people of Egypt. In a traditional Seder, we remove a drop of wine or juice from our glasses as we name each ancient plague, symbolizing that even as we celebrate our liberation, our joy is reduced by the suffering of the Egyptians. Tonight, we will also read a list of modern plagues afflicting our world. So please recite each plague with me. Dam, blood. Sfardea, frogs. Kinim, lice. Arov, beasts. Dever, cattle disease. Shechin, boils. Barad, hail. Arbeh, locusts. Hoshech, darkness. Makat behorot, slaying of the firstborn. A drop of wine for the pharaohs within. A drop of wine for the brutality that blots out beauty. A drop of wine for rage that overwhelms our awe. A drop of wine for caring more about the mastery of life than the mystery of life. A drop of wine for the virus of hatred without cause. A drop of wine for the blight of blood violence and abuse. A drop of wine for the silence that lets evil prevail. A drop of wine for darkness that shuts out the light of reason. And on this night, this season of hope, a drop of wine for every child in grief and pain, in this place and in every place. For you, we choose life and blessing.
Traditional Dayanim is God's gift to the Israelites, beginning with the Exodus and culminating with the temple in Jerusalem. By singing Dayanim, we celebrate each landmark of our people's journey. Tonight we change the focus and speak not of God's gifts, but of the ways in which God inspires us to be our best selves, with all the steps we need to take to bring about the world we yearn to create.
Let us continue to go around, not the table, but the chapel, with a reader for each line, and after each line, we'll all reply, Dainu.
If we speak truthfully about the pain, joys, and the contradictions of our lives.
Dainu.
If we listen to others with sensitivity and compassion.
Dainu.
If we challenge the absence of women in traditional texts, chronicles of Jewish history, and in the leadership of our institutions.
Dainu.
If we continue to organize, march, and vote to affirm our values.
Dainu.
If we fight.
That's right, if we fight economic
injustice, sexism, racism, and homophobia.
Dainu.
If we volunteer our time and money.
Dainu. Thank you.
If we break the silence about violence against women and children in the Jewish community and everywhere.
Diana.
If we teach our students and children to pursue justice with all their strength.
Okay, that one was perfect.
If we care for the earth and its future responsibly as we care for those we love.
Diana.
We create art, music, dance, and literature.
Diana.
If we realize our power to affect change.
Diana.
If we bring holiness into our lives, homes, and communities.
Diana.
If we honor our visions more than our fears.
Diana.
It will and it will not be enough.
We're gonna start with
According to the Ramban Gamliel, those who do not mention three things on Passover do not fulfill their obligation to tell the story: Pesach, Matzah, and Maror.
Pesach, the roasted shank bone, symbolizes the lamb's blood that marked the doorposts of our homes in Egypt. The blood protected us from the angel of death as it passed over our houses and spared us. We lift this symbol and also recall the Pesach sacrifices that our ancestors ate while the temple still stood. What sacrifices would we make for freedom today? What would we leave behind? How far would we go? How deeply would we look within ourselves?
The matzah. Why do we eat this unleavened bread? Because there was not enough time for our ancestors' dough to rise. So they had to take their unleavened dough into matzah in the desert. Matzah, the bread of slavery, was transformed into the bread of redemption as it was carried out of Egypt.
For the times when we do not know which way to go, but we move forward anyway. For the times when immediate action is required and we are able to act swiftly. For the times when immediate action is the easy answer and we wait and let the truth ripen. For the times when we do not know enough to make a decision, but we must decide, and so we do. For the times when we have a hunch, a flash, a knowing that comes to us without our knowledge, and we use these things to guide us. For half-thought dreams are visions, the farthest reaches of what we think we can become. For movement, despite our fears, despite their obstacles and delays, in times when movement meant growth in life. To all these times, to action, to movement, dreaming, we dedicate this matzah.
The moror. Why do we eat these bitter herbs tonight? The standard answer is that we must be reminded that we were once slaves in Egypt. But why must we remember our slavery? What is the meaning of memory's bitter stranglehold on Jewish life? Do we dwell too much on the pain, vowing to never forget at the expense of healing, of moving forward, of becoming free? There is danger in clinging to victim mentality, in insisting that we always have been and continue to be an oppressed people. Excessive attachment to the past can prevent us from seeing our potential, from growing into greatness. Worse, envisioning ourselves as slaves can also enable us to become the master without even noticing the change. When we are not conscious of the power we hold, we risk abusing it. And at times we have. After the first taste of horseradish burns, there are tears of sorrow and cleansing. Before we can truly be free from enslavement, we must first look deeply at it to feel the horror, the sadness, the anger. But when we have done this, rather than cling to our pain, let us begin to let it go. Let us try to remember to surrender some measure of our pain and stretch ourselves to a new understanding of our power. As we do this, we become free people with all of the joy and responsibility that brings.
Okay, we will now recite the blessings over the matzah and maror. Please join me as we turn the page. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. You are blessed, our God, Spirit of the world, who brings forth bread from the earth. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al achilat matzah. You are blessed, our God, Spirit of the world, who makes us holy with mitzvot and commands us to eat matzah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al achilat maror. You are blessed, our God, Spirit of the world, who makes us holy with mitzvot and commands us to eat bitter herbs. Okay, I would now like us to ask for our final time to turn to your partner, and our final question to discuss is, in what ways do you feel you belong to God, or that God belongs to you? In what ways do you feel you belong to God, or that God belongs to you? I think that Jones got the mic.
And then all men have divided us will merge. And then compassion will be welded to power. And then softness will come to a world that is harsh and unkind. And then both men and women will be gentle. And then both women and men will be strong. And then no person will be subject to another's will. And then all will be rich and free and varied. And then the greed of some will give way to the needs of many. And then all will share equally in the earth's abundance. And then all will care for the sick and the weak and the old. And then all will nourish the young. And then all will cherish life's creatures. And then all will live in harmony with each other and the earth. And then everywhere will be called Eden once again.
Our longing for justice, wholeness, and peace brings the melody of Eliyahu Hanavi to our lips. With that melody, we bridge our hopes for the future with our commitment to the present. We invite not just Eliyahu, Elijah, harbinger of the Messiah, but Miriam, inspiration for the journey.
Miriam.
Everybody knows this.
Eliyahu Hanavi Tishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Agilati, Bimheira ve'yameinu, Yavo Eleinu, Imashiach ben David, Imashiach ben David, Miriam Hanviya, Miriam Hanviya, Miriam, Miriam, Miriam Hanviya, Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Agilati, Bimheira ve'yameinu, Yavo Eleinu, Imashiach ben David, Imashiach ben David, Miriam Hanviya, Miriam Hanviya, Miriam, Miriam, Miriam Hanviya.
Thanks, you guys stay up here, I'll just read our final.
Okay.
Okay. Our closing poem is actually written by a friend of mine, Rabbi Lisa Green. And when we finish the poem, I think we've passed out our final song, which is not in the Haggadah, but is called Miriam's Song on a little white piece of paper that I hope you have. So right now, we'll finish with page 26, Magid, our story. With Magid, we tell the story, the exodus from degradation to dignity, from slavery to freedom. Each of us is to tell this story, and we who do so at length are surely to be praised. But this collective story of the journey from slavery to freedom is not the entirety of the tale. Each of us bears our own stories, which relate our journeys, our paths to freedom. If each of us must relate our people's story, all the more so should we be praised for continuing the story, adding the individual strands which make our identity, which explain our journeys. To journey is to prepare, to leave, to travel, to wander and wonder. To journey is to arrive, to accustom, to question, to change, to remain as we were, yet touched by the journey. What are journeys from slavery to liberation, from alienation to community, from afar to within, from foreign to familiar, from anxiety to comfort, from narrow spaces to expanse. As we answer, we continue Magid. We tell our stories. We'll do Miriam's.
Okay.
We
can do this.
Whatever you guys. I'm leaving it to you.
Okay. Follow along with you. Women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song, singing a song to the one who was exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. And Miriam was a weaver of unique variety. The tapestry she wore was one which sang her history. With every thread and every strand she crafted her delight. A woman touched with spirit, she dances toward the light. Everybody! And the women dancing with their timbers followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one who we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. When Miriam stood upon the shore and gazed across the sea, the wonder of this miracle she soon came to believe. Whomever thought the sea would part with an outstretched hand, and we would pass to freedom and march to the promised land. Everybody! And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one that we've exalted. Miriam and the women dance and dance all night long. And Miriam and the prophet took her timbrel in her hand, and all the women followed her just as she had planned. And Miriam raised her voice and sung, she sang with praise and might. We just lived through a miracle, we're gonna dance tonight. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one that we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. One more time. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one who we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced all night long. Sure. Yeah.
Last song is Lithilah.
So we'll collect the musical instruments after.
One more song. Lithilah, to a land that I will show you. Lech lecha, to a place you do not know. Lithilah, on your journey I will bless you, and you shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. Lithilah. Lithilah. And I shall make your name great. Lech lecha. And all shall praise your name. Lithilah. To the place that I will show you. L'simchat chayim. L'simchat chayim. L'simchat chayim. Lithilah. Lithilah. To a land that I will show you. Lech lecha, to a place you do not know. Lithilah, on your journey I will bless you, and you shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing, and you shall be a blessing. Lithilah. Yay, for you.
Well, this evening has been a blessing. I thank you all for participating, for sharing yourselves with each other and with me, and I wish you all a Chag Pesach Sameach. Thank you to everybody on Zoom who joined us.